especially in roofing, like most of your roofing company owners, like, let's call it out, right? They're overconfident, right? I don't say cocky or conceited, but they're overconfident. Like,
then when, your attention's being fragmented in 27 different directions, you have a very finite amount of time to allocate towards task A, B, C, D. Then you hire somebody whose sole purpose is to fulfill task A, B, C, D. They have much more clarity. They're not being pulled in different directions. So we're live, bro. What's up?
What's up, homie? How you been?
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Jon Broce with your boy, Mike Stearns, Mission Control Podcast. Brought to you by the team of Roofer and Ascend Digital Agency. The crowd goes wild. Gang. Appreciate the team of Roofer for helping making this happen. They've been with us for a long time, man, and I'll tell you, they're a great company. So if you need instant roof quotes, roof measurements, cleaning procedure proposals, they'll give your prospects no choice but to buy it from you, or just talk to great people. Hammer that link down in the description. You'll be happy you did. Broce, what's up, man? What's new with you?
Dude, not a whole lot, man. Just 1 year out from our acquisition, and already getting ready to sunset and do some fun stuff, man. So yeah.
Sounds like you're doing better than Delta. I checked out today. They had a plane they had to evacuate via slide because there was like some sort of smoke and haze coming from it. Landed a plane upside down last week. Kudos to however that happened. Godspeed, because it seems like that could have went a lot worse.
Sounds like it. Yeah. No wrecked planes yet, so we're good so far.
Fantastic. So talk to me about the acquisition. What's that been like?
It's been interesting. So, you don't really know what you don't know until you're in the middle of it, right? So, no, it's been good. Just transition and change management thing. So after acquisition, I took over as the COO of Florida for Vertex, and then just kind of helped with inefficiencies and some other mergers. We merged a couple of companies together and helped everybody get prepared for Service Titan. And now it's time to start looking at a new career path and sunset that a year and a half later, and have some more fun.
I mean, so what's Jon gonna do? What's on the horizon for you, sir?
Man,
people are dying to know. Give them what they want.
I think the main thing that we're headed towards is more like leadership training. So we've been building some things in the background last few months here. Got a bunch of cool slide decks, but really, I mean, the one thing that's missing in most businesses that it's not a sexy conversation because nobody really thinks that they need it, but it's really culture and leadership training. It's really the secret to what got us to where that we were, and I'm ready to open up that playbook and teach everybody.
I love that. Yeah. Roofers, they don't get excited if it don't fit into a spreadsheet and you're not showing them how much money they made off of how many dollars they spent. But some of these things you can't fit into a spreadsheet. Sometimes the impact is further down the road. Substantial things have to change, and those things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, folks. Be patient. So what inspired that, though? Obviously, you saw the impact that it had on MHI, right? Was it that alone? Was it that coupled with what you see out in dealing with other roofing contractors and maybe a lack of effective leadership or culture or focus on it?
So, I mean, there's a lot of factors. Over the last 10 to 15 years, I've been helping to build and scale other companies. And also in process of all this too is through the Ugly Roof channel, right? So like we work with about 100 contractors. And so, just seeing that there's a real big lack there. The sales side is always sexy and everybody wants to talk about that. Corey's doing a good job at now talking about the production side, right? But not a whole lot of people are really talking about what is leadership and culture and how do you empower your team. So that was really the secret to all the success. And that's what we're ready to, sales is fun. Production is fun. Accounting is fun. You can learn all those things. But
accounting's not fun, sir.
It is to some.
Vehemently.
It is to some, but it's more the subjective matter that people don't know how to measure, and that's what we try to help do. So
how do you measure effective leadership?
Well, one thing is we have a scale called AEP, right? Attitude, effort, performance, and just knowing how to actually put a score to subjective matter. So that's one of the main things over the last 15 years is, quarterly or biannually, you go in and the whole team rates the whole team, right? So everybody gets to rate everybody from every department, even all the way from top of the leadership all the way down to the field reps. So attitude score is basically, that's the most important score, but it weighs, a third of the score. So, but you get ranked on how's your attitude with the team? Are they always positive? Are they always looking to be helpful? Are they always telling the truth? Are they a kind person? Then you get into effort. Like if somebody has a good attitude, they're putting in the effort. So these are the effort things that you can measure. Are they putting in all the stuff into job nimbus correctly or into roofer correctly, right? So are they staying up to date with what they're doing? Are they knocking X amount of doors? Are they following the process? Are they practicing? So those are the two first cited weighted scores. And then it's performance. So, have you ever had that one guy on your team that was like the top performer, but nobody wanted to be around him? Well, so I
may have been that guy before.
You probably still are, but
hey, okay. Come on, not on my show, goddammit.
But I'm just teasing. But like, that's the guy that it's the hardest guy to cut because all you see is the metrics and the numbers. But if you're able to really measure all that effectively, and then kind of go in from that angle, like, hey, attitude, effort, and performance in that order. And then so it becomes a 100-point score, right? And so by the time you start adding them up, it's like anybody under a 70, now you go on a PIP or a performance improvement plan, right?
Pippy Longstocking.
Yeah, you got to PIP it up. So, but it's just teaching people that like why that's such a measurable thing. It never used to be measurable, but that was one of the secrets to all of our success over the years. And so I really want to just want to get that into everybody's hands, if that makes sense. So
that's across the board for all positions in the company. That's got to be challenging for a sales department.
What's that? Attitude, effort, performance? Mm-hmm.
Because I feel this is my thought. Like the high performing salespeople, and I don't care if you're selling Girl Scout cookies, roofs, or digital marketing. Like doesn't matter. They're typically going to have. I don't know. I've found a lot that have had a will to try to improve things, right? And I think that can be misconstrued when they're consistently not pushing back, but giving feedback as far as how we can make things better. And I think it's a fine line between like this person's being combative and they really care and they want to make improvements to the company. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say that I think attitude and effort are the two most important parts of it, and the performance will come. So we never hired based on metric numbers outside of the company. We always hired based on personality and will they fit this role. Hire
the people, not the resume.
Exactly. Yeah. That you hire the people. So if they have the right attitude and they're putting in the effort and the performance stinks, whether the right person on the right bus, they're just in the wrong seat. So then you got to learn how to repurpose people. So, hey, listen, so I have to look introspectively and say, hey, I saw all this great stuff in Michael Stearns, right? And I hired him on as one of our account executives, but he's really stinking it up and he couldn't close the front door, right? So what do I do with this guy? But he's got the attitude, he's put in all of the effort, and he has the right empathy skills and he has the right characteristics. So maybe I need to put him over into the production department to where he can, help with customer, escalation issues.
Sure.
Right. So there might be another position. So that's the hardest thing is like, hey, I hired him in for sales. And then as a leader or as an owner, especially when we hire somebody, we also see all the potential in them. And if we let them go, a lot of times it's a reflection on us in our minds subconsciously. It's like, hey, I know that he can do it because I hired him. There's no way that he's going to do bad. No. And so it's like learning how to navigate all that and know that it's okay to let people go sometimes because sometimes it's the right thing for them because you're holding them back. So, but it aligns with their attitude and effort first. So if their attitude is not good and their effort's not there, then like they're a D player or C player. And, we want AE plus players on our teams.
It's tough losing people. We're one of our account managers stepped away. She's great. Customers love her. She's really smart, and she's pursuing a dream of doing murals in the art world. I'm really happy for her. Like, that's amazing. I'd never want you to not pursue your dream. Also, there's never really a good time for you to leave. So, but I do wish you the best, Hannah. If you're listening, just know we love you, and hey, you're always welcome back. So there's usually symptoms of any issues in the company, right? There's the symptom, and then there's the underlying cause. So if we're talking about leadership and culture and it not being up to snuff, what are typically the symptoms that a contractor is going to see to raise awareness around that?
It's a good question. I would say as far as, I just want to make sure I can reframe the question. So what are the symptoms around not so good leadership, I guess?
Yeah, like if you're deficient in leadership or culture, like what do those symptoms look like?
I think
I want somebody listening to this to be able to like, that's me. I need help.
Yeah. I think some of the symptoms are like being frustrated with your people, then being frustrated with you thinking that you set clear expectations, but you didn't. The number one reason why people leave has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with clarity. So when they don't see their role within the vision, so the vision has to be so big that it scares you, but it has to be so small that they can live their vision inside of yours. So you got to always be clear of what your expectations are and what you see as their vision and their future. So I would say that's one of the main things that creates the frustration. I recently had to do an exit interview, and that was the ongoing theme was, hey, like I didn't know what my next steps were. I asked several times and everybody just kept kicking the can. So instead of kicking the can, let's just literally lean into it and say, hey, what do you want it to be? Right. Yeah. So leadership becomes question-based sales if you do it right. Right. So if you ask the question, so, leading people through, like I call them unsolved opportunities. That's the way I was raised. Like I don't have the theory of problems. Like it's all unsolved opportunities. And so how do you help delegate and help people solve these unsolved opportunities? Right. So learning how to empower the team, that's the one thing that most people have not learned to do. But we train our sales team, like we train them up, but we don't train the production team. We don't train the leadership team the same way. But we role play, we teach you the right questions to ask. And that's pretty much kind of where it's at on the leadership side. So,
yeah, those are some really good points and super helpful, I'd imagine. My question would be, how do you get a contractor who's dog with a bone mentality on leads and sales to be able to give that, commensurate amount of attention to production or to their accounting or to anything that's not related to dollars and cents coming into their business directly, or they don't see it as directly related? Yeah.
So, you've got revenue generating behaviors, right? And so that's what you're really kind of focused on there on that. So those things are always critical, right? What are you going to be doing to drive more revenue? But the underlying question is, how do you encourage your team to go do those things, right? And want to run through a wall for you. Right. So like if that's the thing is to generate revenue, which is what we need to do, right? That's how we keep the doors open, until we keep the lights on. That's how we hire more people and add more family members to the to the team. But so it comes down to asking that owner the right questions, and oftentimes it's not one set of questions, but when we get into the conversations, it's trying to find those real pain points. Everybody thinks it's leads. Everybody thinks it's something else, right? But it's never really that. It's usually an introspective issue that they can't get out of their own way. And honestly, it comes down to trust. So you've not built a system or a process to where that you can trust the system. So like, I don't trust very many people, but I do trust my systems. I do trust our processes. I do trust that if there's something that I don't have one thing that I tell owners all the time is like, find the thing that you hate to do. whatever is the least exciting thing that gets you up. You're like, oh, I don't like accounting. Like you said earlier, I don't like accounting. I like knowing numbers. I like budgeting. I like P&Ls. I like understanding it, but I don't like to actually do the book work. So what I would challenge all of our clients is you have to go in and you have to master that first. Right? Because if you don't like it, you have to know it so you can lift it and shift it. So if you don't know it and you're going to get taken advantage of, somebody's going to embezzle off of you because you don't know how to read it. So you openly trust somebody instead of trusting the system and the process. So if you don't know it, learn it and learn it well enough that you could do it yourself. And then now that you have a process that you know how to go in there and inspect what you expect. I'm sure everybody's heard that term. So
I love this conversation. Thank you for
I love
coming.
it, dude. It's good stuff, dude. Look, I hug these just for the in between the Furge conversation today. But we're going to call it in between the Stearns.
In between the Stearns. I like it. How do you get people to run through a wall for you, though?
That's the artwork. So that's when you go from being a boss to an actual leader. The main thing is that they have to know that you care before they care to know. I don't know if that makes sense, but like they have to know that you really truly care about who they are and what their aspirations are in life. Little things. There's a book that if anybody wants to like have a real quick, nice read, it's called The 1 Minute Manager. It's literally about like, how are you present in that moment? So to get them to really follow you, you have to be present. So when somebody walks into your office, you have to shut that laptop case immediately and listen to what they have to say. And you're listening to understand and not listening to respond. So like, if everything that you do is true, kind, and helpful, and that's what I've always tried to like live as my aura, is like before I speak, is it true, is it kind, is it helpful? So when I have all three of those and then I speak, it's effective communication that way. Is now I'm giving them stuff that they can actually use, right? And it's helpful and it's kind and then that feeds to the next person and the next person and the next person. And so that's the expectation is like when we speak to each other, it's in a true, kind, and helpful way. And it all starts with whoever's at the top, right? And I'm not a hierarchy, like, you know, I've got more of an Elon approach. If the field rep needs to come and talk, you know, directly to me, then I'm all in. Let's do it, right? But at the same time, it's like you have to start at the top and you have to really live that out. So you have to care first and genuinely care and be, you know, you got to take the Ted Lasso approach, right? That's what I say, right? Is you got to have curiosity. Like you literally got to want to learn about your employees and your people. And when you find out who they really are, like you know what makes them tick, like that means something to them. So that's the main thing.
Are there like exercises that you should do with your employees to get to the point where, you know, you're invested in them and they know it?
I would say yes. Like a lot of times when you lay out, if you would say exercises, like the main thing I would say is the way that we learn to delegate. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, by them coming in, okay, so I used to be the guy that I would just do it for you, right? Instead of me taking time to train you.
Yeah.
Right. So I was that guy. Like, and then I just kept getting stacked up with everything I was doing, and I'd get overwhelmed. I didn't have time to actually lead because I had to do.
Weird.
Right. Right. It's weird. Right. So when you learn little questions to ask them when they come to you, it's like, well, what have you tried? And what do you think that we should do? Right. So you're building that empowerment into them. And that's the exercise. Like I just shared this with one of my leaders the other day. I was like, hey, like I've been using this for 10 years and you never knew it, but you've been able to be empowered to make these decisions. Now it's time to transfer this knowledge on so you know how to build your leadership team even more effectively. And so it's just asking questions. Don't ever give them the actual answer because then all you do is become a doer, right? You do it for them. And that's hard. That's really hard, is because most of your, especially in roofing, like most of your roofing company owners, like, I mean, let's call it out, right? They're overconfident, right? I don't say cocky or conceited, but they're overconfident. Like, they think if they have all the answers, that's why they win in business. And oftentimes I don't have the right answer, right? So, but I know that listening to my people and literally asking the questions, oftentimes they come up with some of the best stuff I've ever heard of. I'm like, well, let's do that. Like, that sounds phenomenal, you know? And then I learn because they're actually in the trenches with the customer and they know what's there. So,
and it's so easy just to do for them, right?
It is.
Until it's not. Compress the timeline to a solution. Let's get it done right away, get it off our plates. But what's harder is understanding that, one, that takes away from, I guess, their autonomy and their agency to feel empowered. Two, that problem pops up 300 more times. You're teaching them, just come to me. And eventually, you're going to run out of time. You're going to drive yourself crazy.
Yep. And that's probably the magical key to all of it, is empowering people. Like, that's how to become a good leader. Because delegation is the hardest thing. Like, it's like, I can't trust them because they're going to mess it up. Honestly, like, when I got out of my own way, like, they did better than any idea I ever had.
Well, I just got off a consulting call. Company does a few million. And we were having this conversation. You know, it's one of the things I struggle with, Mike, is, you know, taking the hats off. Join the fucking club, brother. You and every other business owner, it never feels like the right time. Nobody's going to do as good as me. It's my baby. I mean, most of y'all watching have probably seen that reel that I did. But then when, you know, your attention's being fragmented in 27 different directions, you have a very finite amount of time to allocate towards task A, B, C, D. Then you hire somebody whose sole purpose is to fulfill task A, B, C, D. They have much more clarity. They're not being pulled in different directions. You'd be amazed at the results that can bring. And they did it way fucking better than you.
Yeah. Well, and there's never a good time to pull the scab off or to pull the Band-Aid off. Like, right. So might as well do it now instead of later, right? Because it's your mental clarity and your mental sanity means more. And then if you're able to lift and shift these things and then allow somebody else to go and master it, I mean, that makes it that just frees your time up to go do the next thing inside the company instead of being bogged down with the tasks. And it's one of those things where we think that being busy means that we're productive, but like, tasks are not productive a lot of times, at least for the business owner. You know, like, yes, there's things that we have to do. There's things that we have to do for a certain period of time until we can hire to replace. But just because you're busy doesn't mean that you're being productive at all.
And don't you dare confuse activity with productivity, folks. So I was reading Unreasonable Hospitality, and have you read that?
Yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah, really, so when he was talking about in the restaurant, he leaned in to talk to a customer, put a hand on the table, and one of the other employees, we don't do that. Well, why don't we do that? I'm leaning in, I'm engaging, I'm making them feel comfortable. We just don't do it. Didn't have a good reason, right? So kind of along the same vein, where he says anything where the answer is we've just always done it this way, it's worth taking a look at because there's probably a better way.
100%.
It's not a great answer, right? We've just always done it this way. Well, shit changes. Same way your processes at 2 million are probably going to look or should look a lot different than your processes at 10 million. Your company grows, things change, there's more people involved, there's more variables. So you need to account for those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which leads me to my next question. 1 being no impact, 10 being the most impactful. How much would you grade the importance of an effective CRM into creating that type of culture and effective leadership that you want to bring to a company?
1 is none and 10 is all. So my journey in life is to make as much impact as what I can now at this point in my life, right? So this is a really fun question. So, man, I don't know. This is a very interesting question.
What you here for, baby?
I'd probably give it a 7. I do think it's very impactful because 1 is how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So like if you're using your system properly and you're following up and you're putting your notes in and you're sending out the right messages and you're staying on top of it, like how you do one thing's how you do everything. So if I measure it on that type of a scale, I would say it's a 7. I mean, it's truly impactful in the way that you can operate your life and your business if you're willing to adhere to a process in a system.
Yeah, that's good. I like that answer. So for me, culture is the embodiment of culture is how people feel every day, how they feel about it, how they feel while they're doing it, and how they feel outside of it. And there's a lot of things that roll up into workplace culture, right? But I see so many companies that they have a CRM, they're using it for 15% of what it could be used for. They're doing all sorts of manual tasks. Instead of checking the CRM, they're berating the other employees and following up with them directly because they're not confident in their data to where they can get an actual answer, an accurate answer to what they're looking for. And that shit is so soul crushing, not only on the leader, but on the employees as well. To where if these things could be automated, you can pull a report in 3 clicks and you can have a really good understanding of what's going on, where we're deficient, things that need to be action items that need to be addressed, so forth and so on. It reduces that friction to where maybe that person doesn't hate coming to work anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, so one thing that I'll add in there too is my mission for the last 10 to 15 years has been no data entry. So that's kind of a near spot in my heart is like, how do you create a culture around no data entry, right? So, and what I mean by that is less task work, less actual like punching the keys, and more face time with the customer.
Yeah.
Because the more time you have with the customer, the better. And like my customer now actually is not the end customer, right? So my customer is my leadership team. So how can I be more effective in the systems to not have to be, stroking all these keys all day long, to where I can be in front of my customer, which is a leadership team. And then as you build out, upper management, middle management, lower management, like however it is you build it out, like that becomes the customer.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm taking care of my people or our people, they're taking care of our customer. Right. So how you take care of your people is how they're going to take care of the customer. And I do think that a system does play into that, because the more easy it is to use that system, it's the easier it is that they can do their job, the happier it is that they're going to be, which leads you to your next segment on roofer. So go ahead and let's plug it again, Sturge. Here, I'll take a drink while you plug it.
Shout out the team at Roofer. Richie, Nikki, Pete, Kate, y'all my folks. Well, so what contributing factors, what are the main contributing factors to having that type of culture where people want to run through walls for you, they're going above and beyond, and they're doing it with a smile on their face?
What is the main contributing factor?
Factors. We're asking all the tough questions here, bro.
Yeah, no. I love this part of it. I like tough questions, and thank you for asking the tough questions.
Well, it's partially because I'm ignorant and I want to know for myself, but I think the audience will benefit from it too.
Well, no. I appreciate that. It's one of those things where the key factors that I've seen is really kind of goes back. And I don't want to be a cliche answer, but it's you have to care. Like when they know that you truly care about their performance, and that you hold them accountable. So it's caring and accountability. And discipline. I mean, believe it or not, employees love accountability. People think against it, like, oh, how do I hold this guy accountable? But the people who really put in the most effort like the fact that they have a metric that they can measure themselves against. Not that I'm measuring them against it, but that they can measure themselves against. Like, hey, like, here's how a good sales rep performs is at $100,000 a week or whatever the number is, right? Yeah. So it's like, oh, I'm 120, so I'm doing well, right? So setting clear expectations on metrics and KPIs, I believe, is one of the nicest and kindest things that you can do with your team. People think it's going to be hard because they don't want to measure, and you start putting light on things that people don't want you to see, well, those people don't need to be on your team. The ones who need to be on your team are the people who enjoy having true transparency and clarity on how they're performing.
I'm just taking notes, bro. That ass.
It's a clinic today, huh?
It's a fucking clinic, bro. That's why I wanted you here. That's why you had to be here. One of these times, we're going to get you to Buffalo, and I'm going to feed you a nice piece of steak.
I was going to call you to ask you if, I need to sit between those ferns as well. So
these here ferns you can impart yourself right between these. I'll take the passenger seat. It's fine, dude. I'd love to have you here. Buffalo's a beautiful city, by the way, and we have amazing food. Our football team sucks.
Let's play on June. Let's play on June when it's warmer. So, all
right. Well, I mean, I'm going to hold you to that. You better be here in June.
My thin blood in Florida here is man, we just went to San Antonio for IRE, and it was a great time. But I left home. It was 80 and sunny, and I looked at the weather app, and it was like 72. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I didn't pack like this. I didn't even pack this. This is a long sleeve. I packed I had all polos. So it was like 27, high of 27, and 80 mile an hour winds. It was stupid. So I learned a lesson that I need to get back to my Boy Scout roots and prepare better. So, but it was very cool.
I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
It's fair. That's
why I always overpack.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, God damn it, you did it again. You got 17 things you didn't wear. And you had to wait for your check bag. For what?
Yeah. For what? Yeah.
I mean, there's worse problems to have. Take, for instance, Delta.
This segment brought to you by Delta.
I mean, there's weird shit going on in the aerospace stuff. I don't like flying. It's no secret that I don't like flying. And when I see things like this, I'm supposed to go to Wealth Builder. And, Brock out of Pittsburgh, he hit me. He's like, man, I don't know about Wealth Builder, bro. He sent me a screenshot of the plane hazing and smoking and people. I'm like, we could... I'm not going to push back on it. If you don't want to go, I'm not excited to get on a plane and fly 8 hours either. So just let me know.
Just let me know.
Just let me know. Yeah,
awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of weird year. So what else is new? What else you got to talk about?
Nothing really new. Just
come on, man.
Man, I got a new house in July, so I was in Cape Coral. I was down in Southwest Florida. We moved up to Plant City, Florida. So
okay, not too far from Apollo Beach, where my other crib's at.
That's it, man. That's it, dude. Yeah. So
I'll have you go meet my adjuster and fucking get this claim in order.
Yeah, well, me or Corey, I guess. But Corey's right next door to you, I think.
Do a twofer.
A twofer. But the one thing that I thought was interesting is we moved to Plant City because of the Strawberry Festival. We enjoyed it. This is it's like redneck, but I'm from redneck town.
What the hell is the Strawberry Festival?
Oh, it's it lasts 10 or 15 days. They get about 1 million people through there. They have 47 concerts. It's bigger than the state fair. So Plant City is where most of the strawberries are actually grown, in the nation. Probably it's something stupid we're 50% of the strawberries. So don't fact check me, but it's close to that. Or fact check, which check me just let
do a live fact check. What percentage of strawberries?
It's a lot. Are grown in Plant City.
Florida.
For the U.S., yep. That's a lot.
I mean, the AI overview says 15%. Now, I will caution you folks when using these AI overviews. It sometimes needs fact checking within those because I've seen some radically incorrect shit.
So
we'll say 50.
So we'll say 50. Let's go with that. But there's a lot of strawberries around here. So I call it affectionately because all of our kids are still in Kentucky. So this is Plantucky. So I live in Plantucky now. So
okay, all right. I mean, I love a good strawberry. I'm not going to lie to you. It ranks very high on my preferred fruits.
We go down to the farmer's market straight out of the field, like once or twice a week. You just go down there and just get a whole flat for $10. It's crazy.
I've noticed the strawberries have gotten real big. I was at Wegmans, a grocery store here in the Northeast, and man, I got to tell you, these things, I'm like, this is massive. So Monsanto's doing well, I'd assume.
So I would say there are some. A lot of the fields here are still natural, though. So there are a few, especially the farmers market there. It's all
Send me up a care
organic.
package.
You know, I mean, we could do that.
I could send you something. I had Eric Reno and Austin Fricker and Connor Rodich here back in July, I believe, and introduced them to Chevettas. Have you ever had Chevettas? Mm-mm. It's like a seasoned vinegar marinade that you use for chicken and things of the sort. I mean, if you're into vinegary stuff, I mean, it is fucking sensational. And I would be willing to barter. You get me some of those nice farm to table strawberries. I'll send you down a little Chevettas. Bang, bang. We both got smiles on our face. We could even do a podcast where we do a taste test together.
And you open it up together.
Strawberries. Now, here's the thing. There's some variables I can't control, like how long you marinate, how you cook it. If you overcook the chicken or you undercook it, you get salmonella, you can't put that on me or Chevettas. All right? That's a you thing. You got to be accountable.
I am accountable on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair. That's fair.
I'll wash the strawberries down, give it a good bite, and then we can see what's what.
Sounds like fun. Sounds interesting.
Let's talk. You got some questions for me? You could hot seat me. What's up, bro?
Well, here, I mean, I could pull out the Chat GPT.
Shit.
25 random questions.
AI is gonna take my job.
I mean, like, how do you feel about the new Buffalo Stadium? How about that?
I recently went to Detroit for a game, and I loved the dome. I love the presentation that they had there. I know that has not much to do with the stadium as it does like the management and the people within it. But it was really nice having a dome. I want to say it was October, November. And, it's 70 degrees in there. You're comfy, and it gets really loud. So I was really hoping that we'd get a dome, but it looks like it's going to be really cool. I'm not a huge fan of going to the games. It's a whole to-do. We have it in a suburb, 20 minutes outside of downtown. Traffic there gets bottlenecked. It's absolutely awful. To boot, like this year, there's construction going on for the new stadium, so lanes are closed, and it's an absolute nightmare. I did go to the Bills-Ravens game. It was cold as shit. And I bought club seats. I was like, we'll be under the heaters. It's going to be great. Nice and warm. No, turns out we were in one of the 5 rows that didn't have the overhead heaters. So it was really cold. We did get the win. But I called for an Uber afterwards. Be there in 15 minutes. All right, fine. I guess I'll just sit here in the snowbank and freeze until then. And there's 2 roads that are 20 and 20A, actually, right? So different, but kind of the same. And he's like, I'm on this intersection right where there's this sign, and there's a similar sign. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm here too, and I don't see you. So after 30 minutes of going back and forth with scattered communication, found out that he wasn't, in fact, he was 3 miles down the road. I'm like, bro, it'll take 45 minutes to walk to you. I ain't doing that. Yeah. I might die before that. It was 14 degrees outside. So I had to hire a cabbie. He was a nice kid, actually. He's like, $120. I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? And then he turned around. I was like, I'll give you 100. He's like, get in.
That's awesome.
For context, I live, 17 minutes from the stadium, so I just wasn't thrilled about it. But it got me out of the cold, made him some money. So everybody won.
Everybody wins. So shameless plug here. So we did start our podcast. It's on leadership. And so it's called The Failure Formula. So we've got our first 5 or 8 things getting ready to launch here soon. Mm. But you brought up questions. So we have a rapid fire section that we're doing on our podcast. So I'm going to bring it to your podcast. How's that sound? You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So you can only pick one: respect or liked.
Respect or what?
Respected or liked. Which one are you choosing?
Respected.
All right. What's a dumb rule in business that just needs to go?
Doing things because they've always done it this way.
I love that. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. You're given one do-over on a past decision. What is it?
Probably wouldn't have taken drugs.
That's probably a good one. That's a real good one there.
It gave me a real scenic route and detour to where I came. So,
lead from the front or the back? Which one is better?
The answer is usually in the middle, ain't it?
You only choose front or back? Lead
from the front or the back? So I feel like that's an unfair question. If I gun to my head, I have to choose one. I'm saying the back.
The back? Okay.
Let people. Yeah. There's so much more context that needs to be talked about there, but from the back.
Okay. All right. If you had to fire yourself from your own company, why would you do it?
Because I suck. What do you mean?
What's one popular business trend that's totally overrated?
Use AI for everything.
Yes, correct. If your biggest competitor offered you their CEO role, would you take it?
Fuck no.
And why not?
Because I don't want to be Tim Brown. Shout out, Tim. You know I love you, baby.
Yeah, that's awesome. You get $1 million to invest in any business outside of your industry. Where's it going?
$1 million US?
Not pounds, dollars.
$1 million US. Any
outside of your industry, where's it going? 3,
Machine learning.
2, 1. Okay. If you had to double your revenue tomorrow, what's your first move?
Hire salespeople.
Shark Tank moment. Pitch me your business in 10 words or less.
10 words?
10 words or less.
Depend on the sun.
Depend on the sun. I like it. What's one belief you held way too long before realizing it was wrong? I love this question.
I should expect myself out of others.
That's really good. Like, we could dive into that pretty deep.
I'd be happy to.
You wake up tomorrow with 0 connections and 0 money. How do you make a comeback?
Oh, baby, that's my fucking wheelhouse. You just grind. You show up places, call people. You do it all.
Which is harder, starting from scratch or scaling to the next level? That's a good question.
It depends.
If you could have dinner with your 18-year-old self, what is the first thing you'd tell them?
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Okay, I love it. What's the one failure you'd never erase, even if you could? Getting deep here.
Can you use failure in a sentence? Can you give me the definition of failure?
I think failure personally is a stack of successes because you just keep learning from them. So but just one failure, I guess, like one thing that didn't go the way.
So when I was 18, I started doing collections, and I kind of got golden handcuffed because they gave me the flexibility to kind of work my schedule around being a father and being in school. And I always viewed that as a failure because I didn't like what I did, but I was there as a victim of circumstance, having to provide for my daughter and not get my degree done sooner and things like that. So I would say that would probably be it. I viewed that as a failure for a long time. In all actuality, retrospectively, it gave me a ton of skills that allowed me to become the person that I am today.
Phenomenal. You're stuck on an island with one business mentor. Who's it going to be?
Jon Broce.
Man, I'm flattered. Thank you. What's the fastest way to lose a great employee?
Stop paying them.
You'll lose them tomorrow. Is it better to hire for skill or attitude?
Attitude.
Amen. What's one thing people always get wrong about you?
I'm not arrogant. I'm just confident.
I could see that. No, I like that though. Because see, like, I don't think you're arrogant at all. I do think that I speak sarcasm. So like, I understand a lot of what you're saying. So it's fun.
I think for those listening who've been deemed arrogant, for me, the difference is somebody who's confident. If they know that they're right, they will let you know that they know that they're right, and they'll tell you why. But for people that are arrogant, even on things that they don't know they're right on, it could be subjective, it could be opinion based. They will approach the conversation with the same level of tenacity and righteousness. Where I'm like, I don't fucking know, right? I'm quick to profess that I don't know something.
So what's the difference between arrogance and confidence? I train this all the time. This is one of my favorite questions.
For me, the folks that are arrogant will answer questions on subject matters that they have no idea about or have a small idea about. They'll borrow confidence from other domains where it's justified because they actually know, and they'll borrow that into the domain of something they don't know about, but they'll speak the same way, the same level of confidence as if they did know.
That's a cool answer. We always say that confidence is knowing that you can overcome weaknesses. Arrogance is thinking that you don't have any weaknesses.
There you go. I like that too.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
One word to describe your personal mission. Go.
Impact.
Impact. I love it. If you had to build a new company from scratch today, what would it be?
Digital marketing agency.
What's the one thing people will say about you in 100 years?
He was an asshole.
Oh, imagine it's your retirement party. What's the what's the toast being made about you?
I don't plan on retiring, so I don't think there'll be a retirement party.
There's going to be a retirement party one day.
Okay, so we're assuming there's going to be a retirement party. What's the one toast?
Yeah.
I would hope that it would be that the people that were involved in the retirement party, through my action, saw that I always try to do the right thing.
Love it, dude. That's good. One sentence. Leave us your legacy. What is it?
I'm of the mindset that when people die, people gather. Some people show up, some people don't. And then sooner rather than later, you become a distant memory. So I think it's, the whole legacy thing is challenging.
Challenging. Fair. That's it. That's all I got. This segment brought to you by ChatGPT.
Those are good questions. What was your prompting for that?
So I prompted it for our it's just our hot seat question list. I can send you the prompt for it, but we developed our own little prompt, and I kept asking it and going over, and I finally found and then it'll randomize it. So it's pretty cool.
So I was sitting there with my sister. She owns a home healthcare business, and we were talking about her business growing, and she she was real bitter with me. Melissa, I love you. Okay. I was like, have you used ChatGPT? She said, what's that? And I explained it to her and I showed it to her. She's like, why the fuck have you been holding this from me for so long? I'm like, you have to understand something, all right? I'm like, I don't know what you know, what you don't know. Half the times I don't even know what I know. I'm like, because I'm so caught up in the mix of all the bullets flying.
Yeah.
You just forget things. She's like, you could help me with my business and you've been holding on to this nugget. What other kind of nuggets you got? I said, I don't know. Let's sit on the couch here and keep talking. Maybe something will pop up. But prompting's super important to the impact that ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these LLMs can have.
Yeah.
You could, the same way you could run Google Ads and get a shitty result, like Google Ads suck, you could do the same thing with AI. But if you sit there and, like you said, work through it, refine it, ask it different ways. If you were me and you own this and you did this, what would you do here? What are the first 10 steps? It can be very, very helpful.
So our prompt was 5 questions around leadership and decisions, 5 around business and strategy, 5 around personal growth and mindset, 5 around people and the relationships, 5 around vision and legacy, and then make them fun, direct, and Pepsi or Coke. It's more of choose one or the other. So if you notice, most of them fill this, you got to choose one side or the other. And so I think it makes it more fun, but because it's more of a lightning round, you get to have some fun and ask a few questions and, just randomize it a little bit. So
yeah, I enjoyed that.
Well, good.
I've asked a lot of people to ask me questions. That was my favorite sequence of questions that I've been asked on my show. And for that, I'm grateful.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for answering all those questions. This segment brought to you by a roofer.
Listen, shout out again to the team at Roofer. We appreciate you help making this happen. Big shout out to my guy, Jon Broce, for coming into the studio today. Not in the studio, but he'll be here in June and we'll shoot another episode. And you heard it here first. If he's not here in June, he's dead to me. So, and shout out to June.
I said June or after.
No, you said June, and summer. I could have Christian run it back. We could clip it. Don't be backpedaling now. You said June. It was June. He's confirmed.
Fair. Fair.
And thank you to you for joining. And if you found any of this was helpful to you and you think it might be helpful to someone else, share it with them. Come on. That's all I ask you to do. Go leave us a review, share it, whatever. It's all good. Until next time, and we gone.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.